Captain Lisa Martinez stood on the bridge of the Starfire and watched the stars through the main screen. The ship had been traveling for 3 weeks since leaving Earth. This was humanity's first real journey into deep space using their new, faster-than-light engines. Lisa felt excited and nervous at the same time. She was leading the first human mission to explore beyond their solar system. The bridge was quiet except for the soft hum of the ship's engines. Lisa's crew worked at their stations around her. Dr. Amanda Foster sat at the science station studying star charts. Chief Engineer Kelly Brooks monitored the engine readings from her post. Communications Officer Maya Chen listened for any signals from space. Lieutenant Nicole Rodriguez kept watch at the weapons station, even though they hoped not to need any weapons. Maya suddenly looked up from her station with wide eyes. "Captain, I'm getting a transmission. It's not from Earth. The signal is coming from ahead of us." Lisa walked over to Maya's station. "Can you put it on the main screen?" Maya's fingers moved quickly over her controls. "The signal is very strong. It's definitely meant for us. Putting it through now." The star field on the main screen disappeared. In its place appeared the image of a creature that made Lisa's crew step back in shock. The alien was tall and thin with skin that looked like blue crystal. It had 4 arms and 6 eyes that glowed with bright red light. When it spoke, its voice sounded like breaking glass mixed with thunder. "Primitive humans of the 3rd planet," the alien said. "I am Commander Zyftal of the Great Zephyrian Empire. You have entered space that belongs to us. We know of your recent discovery of faster-than-light travel. We know you think this makes you ready to explore the galaxy." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine, but she kept her face calm. She had trained for years to lead this mission. She would not show fear in front of her crew or this alien. The alien continued speaking. "You are wrong. You are not ready. Your species is young and weak. The galaxy is dangerous beyond anything your simple minds can understand. We have ruled this part of space for 10,000 of your years. We have seen species like yours before. They always think they are special. They always think they can survive among the stars." Dr. Foster whispered to Lisa. "Captain, I'm reading strange energy patterns in this transmission. There's something else mixed in with the normal communication signal." Lisa nodded but kept watching the alien on the screen. Commander Zyftal raised all 4 of his arms. Behind him, Lisa could see a massive ship that dwarfed the Starfire. The alien ship looked like it was made of the same crystal material as the commander's skin. "This is our warning to you," Zyftal said. "Turn your ship around. Go back to your small world. Stay in your own system. Do not venture beyond the edge of what you call the Orion Arm. If you ignore this warning, if you continue into our space, you will face consequences beyond your comprehension. We have weapons that can destroy your entire world from across the galaxy. We have ships that number in the millions. We have conquered races far more advanced than yours." The alien's 6 eyes seemed to stare directly at Lisa through the screen. "This is not a threat. This is a promise. Stay away or be destroyed. You have been warned." The transmission ended and the star field returned to the main screen. The bridge was silent for a long moment. Lisa could hear her crew breathing heavily behind her. She knew the alien's words were meant to scare them. She could feel fear trying to creep into her own mind. Dr. Foster broke the silence. "Captain, I've analyzed that transmission. There were subsonic frequencies mixed into the signal. Frequencies designed to trigger fear responses in most species. It's like a psychological weapon." "Did it work on us?" Lisa asked. Amanda checked her readings. It had some effect, but much less than it should have. Humans seem to be naturally resistant to this kind of mental manipulation. Most other species would probably be terrified right now. Kelly Brooks spoke up from her station. "Captain, I've been scanning their ship. It's huge, but I'm not seeing anything we can't handle. Their technology is advanced, but not impossible to understand." Lisa walked back to her captain's chair and sat down. She thought about the alien's warning. The Zephyrian Empire clearly wanted humans to stay away from their space. That meant there was something out there they didn't want humans to see. Something worth protecting. Maya turned in her chair. "Captain, what are your orders? Do we turn back?" Lisa looked at each member of her crew. These were the best people Earth had to offer. They had trained for years for this mission. They had come farther from home than any human in history. Now, some alien empire was telling them to go back home like scared children. Lisa thought about all the generations of human explorers who had faced the unknown. She thought about the sailors who had crossed dangerous oceans and the astronauts who had first left Earth's atmosphere. None of them had turned back when someone told them they couldn't go forward. She stood up and faced her crew. The Zephyrian Empire told us not to come. They warned us to stay away. They tried to scare us with their big ships and their threats. Lisa smiled. That's exactly why we're going forward. If they don't want us to see what's out there, then that's exactly what we need to see. Nicole grinned at her station. Are we really going to ignore a Galactic Empire's warning? We're not ignoring it, Lisa said. We heard it clearly. We just don't care. Humanity didn't get to the stars by listening to people who told us we couldn't do something. Dr. Foster nodded. The fear frequencies in that transmission suggest they rely heavily on intimidation. Maybe they're not as powerful as they want us to think. Kelly's fingers moved over her controls. Engines are ready, Captain. We can be at the edge of their space in 2 days. Lisa sat back down in her chair. Set course for Zephyrian space. Full speed ahead. Maya's hands moved quickly over her communication controls. Should I send a message back to Earth? Yes, Lisa said. Tell them we made contact with an alien empire. Tell them they warned us to stay away. And tell them we're going anyway because that's what humans do. The Starfire turned toward the unknown regions of space. Behind them, Earth grew smaller. Ahead of them lay the territory of an empire that had conquered dozens of worlds. Lisa knew they were probably flying into danger. She knew the Zephyrians might really have the power to destroy Earth, but she also knew that humanity had always grown stronger when faced with impossible odds. They had survived ice ages and plagues and wars. They had learned to fly and to travel between stars. They had done all of this because they refused to accept that something was impossible. The stars ahead looked the same as the stars behind them, but Lisa knew that somewhere among those distant lights were worlds full of life. There were probably species that had given up when the Zephyrians warned them away. There were probably entire civilizations that had surrendered without a fight. Humanity would be different. They would go where they were told not to go. They would see what they were told not to see. And maybe, just maybe, they would find that the scary aliens weren't as scary as they pretended to be. 2 days later, the Starfire reached the edge of Zephyrian space. Lisa stood on the bridge watching the sensor displays. They had not seen any alien ships yet, but everyone knew they were being watched. The Zephyrians had to know they were coming. Maya looked up from her station with a worried expression. Captain, I'm picking up a distress signal. It's not coming from a Zephyrian ship. The signal is using an unknown technology, but I can tell someone needs help. Lisa moved to Maya's station. Can you locate the source? Yes, it's coming from a small ship about 1 hour away at our current speed. The ship appears to be damaged and drifting. Dr. Foster checked her readings. The ship's design is completely different from the Zephyrian vessel we saw. This is definitely a different species. Lisa made her decision quickly. Set course for the distress signal. We can't ignore someone who needs help. The Starfire changed direction and headed toward the unknown ship. As they got closer, the main screen showed them something beautiful and strange. The ship looked like it had been grown rather than built. It was made of what appeared to be living wood and metal woven together. Parts of the hull glowed with soft green light. Kelly studied the ship's design. Captain, their engines are completely different from ours. I think they use some kind of biological technology. The ship is badly damaged, but I might be able to help them. Are there life signs? Lisa asked. Amanda checked her scanners. Yes, I'm reading about 30 life forms aboard that ship. They appear to be humanoid, but with some significant differences from us. Maya's station beeped with an incoming transmission. Captain, they're trying to communicate with us. Put them through. The main screen showed the interior of the damaged ship. Lisa gasped when she saw the beings inside. They looked like humans, but were clearly not human. They had pointed ears and eyes that seemed to glow with inner light. Their skin was pale and perfect. They wore clothes that seemed to be made from the same living materials as their ship. One of them stepped forward. She was tall and graceful with long silver hair. When she spoke, her voice was musical and beautiful. Unknown ship. I am Lyrelai Moonwhisper of the forest moon Vielthara. Our vessel has been severely damaged. We carry refugees fleeing from Zephyrian forces. Please, if you have any compassion, help us. Lisa stepped toward the screen. This is Captain Lisa Martinez of the human ship Starfire. We will help you. Can you accept our engineers aboard your ship? Lyrelai's eyes widened with surprise. Humans? We have never heard of your species. Are you allied with the Zephyrian Empire? No, Lisa said firmly. We just met them 2 days ago. They told us to stay away from this part of space. We came anyway. The elf woman's face showed amazement. You defied a Zephyrian warning? That is either very brave or very foolish. Most species surrender immediately when the Empire makes contact. Kelly stepped forward. With your permission, I'd like to come aboard and see what we can do to help your engines. Lyrelai nodded. Yes, please. We have been drifting for 3 days. Our people are running out of hope. Lisa turned to her crew. Kelly, take Rebecca. With you. Amanda, I want you to go too. Learn what you can about these people and their technology. An hour later, Kelly was working inside the elven ship's engine room. The technology was unlike anything she had ever seen. Living vines carried energy instead of cables. Crystalline growths stored power like batteries. Everything pulsed with soft light like a heartbeat. This is incredible, Kelly said to Rebecca. Their entire ship is alive. The engines aren't machines, they're organs. Lyrelai watched them work. Your technology is very different from ours. Those tools you carry, they use principles we do not understand. Dr. Foster was examining the refugees in the ship's main cabin. There were elves of all ages, from elderly people with white hair to small children with bright eyes. All of them looked tired and scared. What happened to your world? Amanda asked Lyrelai. The elf woman's face grew sad. The Zephyrians came to Vielthara 5 years ago. At first they said they only wanted to establish a mining colony. They promised they would not harm our forests or our people. We believed them because we had heard of their great power. We thought cooperation was better than war. Amanda listened carefully as Lyrelai continued. But once they established their base, everything changed. They began taking our people as workers in their crystal mines. They cut down our sacred groves to build more facilities. When we protested, they used their fear weapons on us. Fear weapons? Amanda asked. They have devices that project terror directly into your mind. Most of our people became too frightened to resist. Those who could still fight formed small groups, but we could not match their technology. I led one such group, but we were always running. Always hiding. Kelly's voice came over the communicator. Captain, I think I can repair their engines using some of our power cells. Their biological systems will adapt to our technology. Do it, Lisa replied. Back in the engine room, Kelly connected human power cells to the living ship's systems. The results were immediate and amazing. The biological components began glowing brighter. The ship's heartbeat grew stronger. Impossible, Lyrelai whispered. Your technology is healing our ship. How is this possible? Kelly smiled. Different approaches to the same problems. Your biological systems are incredibly efficient. Our power sources are very stable. Together they work better than either one alone. On the bridge of the Starfire, Maya suddenly looked up with alarm. Captain, I'm detecting multiple ships approaching. They're Zephyrian vessels and they're moving fast. Lisa felt her heart race. How long until they reach us? 20 minutes at their current speed. Lisa opened a communication channel to the elven ship. Lyrelai, we have Zephyrian ships incoming. Are your engines ready? Kelly's voice came through clearly. Engines are online and stronger than before. This ship can move now. Lyrelai appeared on the main screen. Captain Martinez, you must leave immediately. The Zephyrians will destroy both our ships if they find us together. You can escape. Your ship is fast, and they do not know your capabilities. Lisa shook her head. We're not leaving you behind. Can your ship keep up with ours? Yes, but where can we go? The Zephyrians control this entire region of space. Dr. Foster stepped forward. Lyrelai, you said you led resistance fighters. Are there others still fighting? The elf woman nodded. There are resistance cells on many worlds. Most are small and hiding. The Zephyrians have broken the spirit of most species in this region. Lisa made her decision. Then we're going to help them get their spirit back. Maya, send a message to those Zephyrian ships. What should I tell them? Lisa smiled. Tell them we received their warning. Tell them we decided to ignore it. And tell them that if they want us to leave, they'll have to make us. Lyra stared at Lisa through the screen. You cannot be serious. You just learned of our existence and now you want to fight the most powerful empire in the galaxy? That's exactly what we want to do, Lisa said. Amanda, what did you learn about those fear weapons? Dr. Foster checked her notes. According to Lyra, they project specific frequencies that trigger terror in most species, but we already know humans are resistant to that kind of manipulation. Nicole spoke up from her weapons station. Captain, if we're really going to fight, I should mention that our weapons are designed very differently from anything they've probably seen before. Lisa turned to Lyra. How many resistance fighters are there across all the worlds? Thousands, maybe tens of thousands, but they are scattered and have no hope of victory. They do now, Lisa said. Kelly, how long before both ships can jump to faster than light speed? 2 minutes for us, 3 for the Elven ship, Maya reported from her station. The Zephyrian ships are trying to lock weapons on us. Lisa sat down in her captain's chair. All right, people, let's show these aliens what humans do when someone tells us we can't do something. Set course for the nearest world with resistance fighters. Lyra's image on the screen showed amazement and something else. For the first time in years, she was feeling hope. Captain Martinez, if you are truly willing to help us fight, I know where we should go first. There is a mining world called Corvash where they are holding thousands of prisoners from different species. Then that's where we go, Lisa said. Time to show the galaxy that the age of Zephyrian intimidation is over. Both ships jumped to faster than light speed just as the Zephyrian vessels reached their position. Behind them, the alien commanders tried to understand what had just happened. For the first time in their empire's history, someone had ignored their warnings and lived to talk about it. The Starfire and Lyra's ship dropped out of faster-than-light speed near the mining world of Corvash. Lisa looked at the planet on her main screen and felt sick. The entire world was covered in massive scars where the Zephyrians had torn open the surface to reach the crystals below. What had once been a beautiful world was now a wasteland of metal and machinery. Lyra's voice came through the communication system. This is what the Zephyrians do to every world they conquer. They take everything valuable and leave nothing but destruction behind. Dr. Foster studied the planet's readings. I'm detecting thousands of life forms in underground facilities. The energy readings suggest massive mining operations. Lisa made her decision. We're going to split up. Kelly, take Rebecca and half the security team to the main mining complex. See if you can disable their operations and free the workers. Amanda, you come with me and Lyra to the forest moon she mentioned. We need to make contact with more resistance fighters. Nicole looked concerned. Captain, splitting up means we can't support each other if something goes wrong. I know, Lisa said, but we can help more people this way. Maya, can you set up a communication link between all our teams? Already working on it, Maya replied. I'm using the Elven ship's biological systems to boost our signal range. An hour later, Lisa found herself on the surface of Valthara with Dr. Foster and Lyra. The forest moon was incredibly beautiful despite the damage the Zephyrians had caused. Massive trees stretched up toward the sky like green towers. Streams of clear water ran between hills covered in flowers, but Lisa could also see the scars left by Zephyrian mining equipment. Entire groves of ancient trees had been cut down. The ground was torn up in places where they had dug for crystals. My people have lived here for thousands of years, Lyra said sadly. The trees you see are not just plants to us, they are our ancestors. The Zephyrians cut them down like they mean nothing. Dr. Foster was taking readings with her scanner. The crystals they're mining, they're not just valuable metals. These readings suggest they have some kind of special properties. They reached a hidden cave entrance where Lyra led them inside. The cave opened into a large underground chamber filled with elves. Lisa counted at least 200 people of all ages. They looked tired and scared, but their eyes showed they had not given up hope completely. An older elf with a long white beard approached them. Lyra, you have returned. But who are these strangers? Their scent is unknown to me. These are humans, Elder Thranduil. They defied a Zephyrian warning to enter our space. They want to help us fight. The elder elf studied Lisa carefully. Humans. We have heard rumors of a new species that showed no fear when the Empire contacted them. You are the ones who ignored their threats? Lisa nodded. We are, and we want to help you get your world back. Meanwhile, on Corvash, Kelly and Rebecca were looking at the massive mining complex from a hidden position. The facility was enormous, stretching across several miles of the planet's surface. Huge machines dug into the ground while flying vehicles carried loads of crystal ore to processing plants. Look at the workers, Rebecca whispered. Kelly used her binoculars to see more clearly. The workers were not just elves. There were beings of many different species, all wearing chains and looking exhausted. Guards with crystal weapons watched them constantly. Those guards don't look like the Zephyrians we saw before, Kelly observed. Rebecca studied them through her own binoculars. I think some of those guards are from conquered species. The Zephyrians must force some prisoners to guard the others. Kelly activated her communicator. Captain, we're looking at a prison camp with thousands of workers from multiple species. The security is heavy, but I think we can disable the main power systems. Lisa's voice came back clearly. Do it, but be careful. We don't want to hurt any of the prisoners. Back on Velthara, Elder Thranduil was explaining the situation to Lisa and Amanda. The resistance is not just elves. There are small groups of fighters on many worlds, but we have no way to coordinate with each other. The Zephyrians monitor all normal communications. Dr. Foster looked up from her scanner. What if we could create a secure communication network? Our technology might be able to get around their monitoring systems. Lyrelai's eyes brightened. If we could talk to all the resistance groups at once, we could plan real attacks instead of just hiding. There's something else, Amanda said. I've been studying those crystals the Zephyrians are mining. I think they're the power source for their fear weapons. Without these crystals, their psychological warfare wouldn't work. Elder Thranduil leaned forward with interest. Are you certain of this? The energy patterns match what we detected in their transmission. If we could disrupt their crystal supply, we might be able to break their hold over the conquered species. On Corvash, Kelly and her team had reached the main power plant for the mining complex. The facility was guarded, but the guards seemed bored and overconfident. They clearly did not expect any real resistance. Rebecca, can you disable the alarm system? Kelly whispered. Give me 2 minutes. Rebecca's fingers worked quickly on a small device she pressed against the facility's control panel. Kelly studied the power plant's design. The Zephyrians used the same crystals they mined to power their operations. If she could overload the system, it might create a chain reaction that would disable the entire complex. Alarms are down, Rebecca reported. We have maybe 10 minutes before they notice. Kelly attached human explosive charges to key points in the crystal matrix that powered the facility. This should disable their operations without collapsing. The mines on top of the prisoners. At the moment Kelly triggered the explosives, something unexpected happened. The overloading crystals sent out a wave of energy that disrupted Zephyrian fear projection technology across multiple star systems. On Valthara, Elder Thranduil suddenly stood up straight. Something has changed. I can feel it. The constant fear that has pressed down on us for years. It's lifting. Other elves in the cave began looking around in wonder. For the first time in years, they felt like they could think clearly without the constant background terror that the Zephyrians had been projecting. Lyrelai grabbed Lisa's arm. What did your people do? Lisa's communicator crackled with Kelly's voice. Captain, the mining complex is shut down and the prisoners are free. But something else happened. The crystal overload seems to have affected Zephyrian equipment across a wide area. Dr. Foster was studying her scanner with excitement. Lisa, I'm reading communication signals from all over this region of space. It's like dozens of different species just started talking to each other for the first time in years. Elder Thranduil was listening to something only he could hear. The great trees are singing again. The fierce silence that has covered our world is broken. Lisa activated her communicator to reach all her teams. This is Captain Martinez to all units. It looks like we just accomplished more than we planned. Maya, are you picking up those new communication signals? Maya's voice came through clearly. Yes, Captain. I'm getting messages in dozens of different languages. It sounds like resistance groups across multiple worlds are trying to coordinate with each other. Can you patch us into their network? Working on it now. Lyra Lay's people might be able to help translate. Within an hour, Lisa found herself talking to resistance leaders from across Zephyrian space. There were the reptilian Draknari from the desert world of Sethis. The aquatic Tsunari spoke from their underwater cities on the ocean world of Naraya. Even the insectoid Kythera had maintained secret resistance cells on their hive worlds. All of them had the same story. Years of oppression under Zephyrian fear weapons had made real resistance seem impossible. But now, with the psychological pressure lifted, they were ready to fight back. "This is our moment," Lyra Lay said to the gathered resistance leaders through the communication network. "For the first time in years, our people can think clearly. We must act before the Zephyrians can repair their fear projectors." Lisa looked around at the faces on her screens. Dozens of different species, all united by their desire for freedom. "What do you need from us?" A Draknari commander with scales like red metal spoke up. "We need weapons and ships. But most of all, we need someone who is not afraid to fight the Empire directly." "You have us," Lisa said. "Humanity doesn't back down from a fight." Dr. Foster had been studying readings from across the region. "Captain, I'm detecting Zephyrian military movements. They're mobilizing fleets from several systems. I think they're planning a major response to what we just did." Elder Thranduil smiled for the first time since Lisa had met him. "Let them come. For the first time in years, we will be ready for them." Lisa felt the weight of what they had started. Humanity had come to explore the galaxy and found themselves leading a rebellion against a galactic empire. But as she looked at the hope in the eyes of the resistance fighters, she knew they had made the right choice. "All right, everyone," Lisa said. "We've gotten their attention. Now let's show them what happens when free people fight together." The space battle began 3 days later in the Crystal Nebula, where the Resistance fleet had gathered to make their stand. Lisa watched the tactical display on the Starfire's main screen as hundreds of ships from dozens of different species formed up in battle formation. The sight was both beautiful and terrifying. "Captain, I'm reading Zephyrian ships dropping out of faster than light speed," Maya reported. "It's a big fleet, at least 200 vessels." Lisa studied the enemy formation. The Zephyrian ships were massive and clearly built for intimidation. Their crystal hulls glowed with menacing light, and their weapon systems were larger than anything she had ever seen. "All ships, this is Captain Martinez," Lisa broadcast to the Resistance fleet. "Remember, we're not trying to match their firepower. We're going to use speed and surprise." Commander Zyftal's voice came through the communication system. "Humans and all who follow them, you have made a grave mistake. We offered you mercy, and you chose defiance. Now you will learn why the galaxy fears the Zephyrian Empire." Lyra Lay's ship was flying next to the Starfire. Her voice came through clearly. "Captain, my scouts have found something important. There are ancient hyperspace routes through this nebula that the Zephyrians don't know about. We can use them to outflank their fleet." "Show us the way," Lisa replied. The battle began when the Zephyrian fleet fired their fear weapons at maximum power. The psychological assault was designed to break the will of the Resistance fleet before the real fighting started. But something had changed since the crystal mines were destroyed. The fear projectors were much weaker than before. Dr. Foster monitored the effects from her station. "The fear weapons are only working at about 30% capacity. The Resistance fighters are shaking off the effects much faster than the Zephyrians expected." Lisa saw her chance. "All ships. The enemy's main weapon isn't working properly. Attack now while they're confused." The Resistance fleet moved forward in a coordinated assault. But instead of fighting defensively like the Zephyrians expected, the different species used their unique advantages in ways the Empire had never seen before. The aquatic Tsunari ships moved in flowing patterns like schools of fish, making them almost impossible to target. The insectoid Kythera vessels swarmed around larger Zephyrian ships like angry bees. The reptilian Draknari used their ships' heavy armor to ram directly into enemy formations, but it was the human tactics that surprised the Zephyrians most. While Every other species tried to minimize their losses. Lisa ordered the Starfire directly into the center of the enemy fleet. "Captain, that's suicide," Nicole warned from her weapons station. "No," Lisa said with a grin. "That's human." The Starfire plunged through the Zephyrian formation, firing at point-blank range. The move was so aggressive and unexpected that the enemy ships could not coordinate their response. Several Zephyrian vessels fired on their own ships trying to hit the fast-moving human vessel. Commander Ziftal watched the battle from his flagship with growing alarm. In 10,000 years of conquest, no species had ever fought like this. The humans seemed to welcome danger instead of avoiding it. "Sir, the human ship is heading directly for us," his tactical officer reported. "Impossible. No commander would risk their flagship in a direct assault." But Lisa was doing exactly that. "Maya, send a message to the Zephyrian flagship. Tell them we're coming for a personal conversation." The Starfire flew straight at the massive Zephyrian command ship while dodging fire from dozens of smaller vessels. At the last second, Lisa ordered a full stop and fired everything they had directly into the flagship's bridge section. The attack didn't destroy the ship, but it sent a clear message. The humans were not afraid of the mighty Zephyrian Empire. While the main battle raged, Lyrelai led a group of elven scouts through the hidden hyperspace routes she had discovered. The ancient paths had been forgotten by most species, but the elves remembered the old ways of traveling between stars. "Follow me exactly," Lyrelai broadcast to the ships behind her. "These routes are dangerous, but they will bring us behind the Zephyrian fleet." The elven ships emerged from hyperspace directly behind the enemy formation. The Zephyrians had all their attention focused on the main battle and never saw the flanking attack coming. Kelly had coordinated with the other engineers in the Resistance fleet to prepare a special surprise. "All ships, target the crystal power matrices on the Zephyrian vessels. Overloading them will disable their fear weapons permanently." The combined attack was devastating. As crystal power systems exploded across the Zephyrian fleet, the last traces of their psychological weapons disappeared. For the first time in millennia, the Zephyrian Empire had to fight without their main advantage. But the real turning point came when Chief Engineer Kelly detected something unexpected. "Captain, I'm reading massive power buildups in several of the crystal mines throughout this region. I think our attack triggered some kind of chain reaction." Dr. Foster checked her readings. "She's right. The crystal networks the Zephyrians have built are all connected. Disrupting them in multiple places is causing feedback through their entire system. Across dozens of star systems, Zephyrian fear projectors began failing as the crystal network collapsed. On worlds that had been conquered for centuries, people suddenly found themselves able to think clearly for the first time in generations. The effect on the space battle was immediate. Commander Ziftal received reports that rebellions were breaking out on every world in his empire. Species that had been paralyzed by fear for decades were suddenly rising up against their oppressors. "Sir, we're receiving surrender requests from 17 different worlds," his communications officer reported. "The local garrisons are overwhelmed by rebel attacks." Ziftal stared at the tactical display showing his fleet being torn apart by an enemy that should have been cowering in fear. "How is this possible? We are the Zephyrian Empire. We have ruled for 10,000 years. On the Starfire, Lisa was coordinating the final phases of the battle. The Resistance fleet had taken heavy losses, but they were winning. More importantly, they had broken the psychological hold the Zephyrians had maintained over the galaxy. "Captain, I'm getting communication. Requests from dozens of neutral worlds," Maya reported. "They want to know if the rumors are true. Did we really defeat a Zephyrian fleet?" "Tell them it's true," Lisa said, "and tell them the age of Zephyrian intimidation is over." But the victory came with an unexpected revelation. Dr. Foster had been analyzing captured Zephyrian data and made a startling discovery. "Captain, you need to see this. I found information about why the Zephyrians are so desperate to maintain their empire." Lisa looked at Amanda's findings. The data showed that the Zephyrian home system was dying. Their sun was becoming unstable and would go supernova within a few decades. The entire Zephyrian species was facing extinction. "They're not just conquerors," Amanda explained. "They're refugees. All of their expansion and conquest has been driven by desperation to find new worlds for their people." Lyralay's voice came through the communication system. Captain, the Zephyrian fleet is retreating. Should we pursue them? Lisa thought about what Dr. Foster had discovered. The Zephyrians were facing the same kind of survival crisis that had driven humanity to the stars. The difference was that humans had chosen to explore while the Zephyrians had chosen to conquer. No, Lisa said. Let them go. We have bigger things to think about. Nicole looked confused. Captain, we have them on the run. This is our chance to end their empire completely. Maybe, Lisa said. Or maybe this is our chance to find a better solution. As the Zephyrian fleet disappeared into hyperspace, Lisa opened a channel to all the resistance leaders. We won this battle, but the war isn't over. I think it's time we learned more about our enemy. There might be another way to solve this problem. Elder Thranduil appeared on the communication screen. Captain Martinez, what are you thinking? I'm thinking that maybe the Zephyrians aren't evil. Maybe they're just scared. And maybe scared people can learn to make better choices if someone gives them the chance. The resistance fleet gathered around the Starfire as they prepared for the next phase of their mission. They had proven that the Zephyrian Empire could be defeated. Now they had to decide what to do with that victory. Lisa looked out at the stars and wondered if it was possible to turn enemies into allies. The galaxy was big enough for everyone if they could just learn to share it instead of fighting over it. Maya, send a message to Commander Zyftal, Lisa said. Tell him we want to talk. 3 weeks after the battle in the Crystal Nebula, Lisa found herself standing on the bridge of a Zephyrian transport ship, heading toward their capital world. The negotiations had taken time, but Commander Zyftal had finally agreed to meet with the human delegation. Dr. Foster and Lyralai stood beside her as they approached the alien homeworld. I still think this is dangerous, Nicole said through the communicator from the Starfire. We're going right into the heart of their empire, with just 3 people. Lisa understood her crew's concern, but she believed this was the only way forward. Sometimes you have to take risks to make real progress. Besides, if they wanted to kill us, they could have done it already. The Zephyrian capital world appeared on the transport's viewing screen, and Lisa gasped. The planet was dying. The entire surface was covered with massive cities made of crystal and metal, but everything looked worn down and desperate. The sun in the sky was visibly unstable, flaring with dangerous radiation. Dr. Foster was taking readings with her portable scanner. The radiation levels are incredible. This entire system will be uninhabitable within 50 years at most. Lyralay studied the planet with sad eyes. No wonder they were so desperate to conquer other worlds. They are watching their home die. The transport landed at the capital city's main spaceport. Lisa and her companions were escorted through streets, filled with millions of Zephyrians going about their daily lives. Despite their frightening appearance, Lisa could see that they were just people trying to survive in an impossible situation. Commander Zyftal met them at the entrance to the government complex. Up close, he looked older and more tired than he had in their previous communications. His crystalline skin was cracked in places, and his 6 eyes seemed dimmed with exhaustion. Captain Martinez, you have come far from your small world to reach ours. I admit I did not expect you to request this meeting after your victory. Lisa looked directly at the alien commander. We won a battle, but that doesn't solve the real problem. Your people are dying, and our people want to explore the galaxy. Maybe we can find a solution that helps everyone. Zyftal led them through corridors filled with other Zephyrian officials. Many of them stared at the humans with curiosity rather than hostility. Lisa realized that most of them had probably never seen members of another species treated as equals, rather than as conquered subjects. The meeting took place in a vast chamber with walls made of living crystal that pulsed with soft light. Around a circular table sat representatives of the Zephyrian government. At the head of the table was an ancient Zephyrian who introduced herself as Supreme Chancellor Veltar. Humans, the Chancellor said in a voice like wind through crystal chimes. You have accomplished something unprecedented. You have defeated our fleets and freed our conquered worlds. Yet instead of pressing your advantage, you ask for negotiations. Why? Dr. Foster spoke up. Because we learned that you're not conquerors by choice. You're refugees trying to save your species. We understand that desperation. The Chancellor's multiple eyes focused on Amanda with surprise. You know of our situation. We know your son is dying, Lisa said. We know you have maybe 50 years before this entire system becomes uninhabitable. We also know there are other solutions besides conquest. Lyreley stepped forward. The elves know of empty worlds throughout the galaxy. Worlds that could support Zephyrian life but have no native populations. You could have these worlds freely, given instead of taken by force. A younger Zephyrian official slammed his 4 hands on the table. Empty worlds are not enough. We need the resources and infrastructure that already exist on conquered planets. Our people number in the billions. Empty worlds cannot support them all. Lisa had expected this argument. What if they didn't need to be empty? What if your people could share these worlds with other species? The room fell silent. The idea of sharing rather than conquering was completely foreign to Zephyrian thinking. Commander Zaftal leaned forward. You would trust us to live alongside other species after what we have done? Trust has to start somewhere, Lisa said. Humans are good at building things. Elves understand how to live in harmony with nature. Your people have incredible technology. Working together, we could build new colonies that are better than anything any of us could create alone. Chancellor Veltar's expression was thoughtful. This is a radical proposal. It would require us to completely change how we interact with other species. Dr. Foster pulled out her portable computer and showed them the data she had compiled. We've already seen what cooperation can accomplish. The Resistance fleet defeated your forces because different species work together using their unique strengths. Imagine what we could build if that cooperation was focused on creation instead of war. Over the next several hours, they worked out the basics of an agreement. The Zephyrian Empire would release all conquered worlds and end their expansion through fear and force. In exchange, the allied species would help evacuate the Zephyrian population to new worlds and provide the resources needed to establish peaceful colonies. But not all Zephyrians agreed with this plan. General Kothmar, the military commander, stood up angrily. This is surrender disguised as negotiation. We are the Zephyrian Empire. We do not beg for charity from inferior species. Half the officials in the room nodded in agreement with the general. Lisa could see that even if the leadership wanted peace, they would face opposition from their own military. Chancellor Veltar looked tired. General Kothmar speaks for many of our people. They believe that strength comes only through conquest. Then, maybe it's time to show them a different kind of strength, Lisa said. What happened next surprised everyone. Lyreley stood up and activated a small device she had been carrying. Suddenly, the chamber filled with voices from across the galaxy. The device was connected to the Resistance communication network and was broadcasting messages from dozens of liberated worlds. The voices told stories of cooperation between species that had been enemies for centuries. They spoke of former Zephyrian prisoners working alongside their former guards to rebuild damaged worlds. They described new technologies created by combining the knowledge of different species. This is what victory looks like, Lyreley said, to the assembled Zephyrians. Not conquest, but cooperation. Not fear, but hope. General Kothmar was not convinced. Pretty words will not save our dying civilization. No, Lisa agreed, but working together might. Dr. Foster activated her own device, showing holographic displays of the colony worlds they had identified. These planets could support your entire population. The climate data shows they're actually better suited to Zephyrian biology than many of the worlds you currently occupy. The debate continued for hours, but gradually more Zephyrian officials began to see the possibility of a different future. The turning point came when reports arrived that General Kothmar's own military forces were divided. Many soldiers were tired of the endless wars and wanted to try a peaceful solution. Commander Zaftal finally spoke up. Supreme Chancellor, I believe we should accept this proposal. We have tried conquest for 10,000 years, and it has only led to more enemies and more wars. Perhaps it is time to try cooperation. The vote was close, but the peace faction won. The Zephyrian Empire would be dissolved and replaced with the Galactic Cooperative, an alliance of equal species working together for mutual benefit. But General Kothmar and his supporters were not finished. As Lisa and her companions prepared to leave the capital, fighting broke out between different Zephyrian factions. The general had decided to take control of the government by force, rather than accept the peace agreement. The civil war was brief but intense. Ships loyal to the general battled those supporting the chancellor in the skies above the dying world. On the ground, crystal weapons fired in the streets as different factions fought for control. The outcome was decided when the resistance fleet arrived in the system. Lisa had sent word to her allies about the situation, and they had come to support the moderate Zephyrians. The sight of dozens of different species working together to protect Zephyrian civilians had a profound effect on the population. Many soldiers who had been following General Kothmar laid down their weapons when they saw former enemies risking their lives to help Zephyrian refugees. The general himself was captured when his own troops refused to fire on the relief ships, carrying supplies for the dying world. 6 months later, Lisa stood on the observation deck of New Zephyria, a colony world where humans, elves, and reformed Zephyrians were building their first shared city. The sight was incredible. Human engineering created the basic infrastructure while elven biological knowledge grew living buildings that cleaned the air and water. Zephyrian technology provided clean energy and advanced manufacturing. Children from all three species played together in parks where crystal trees grew alongside earth flowers and elven singing plants. They were the first generation to grow up, seeing cooperation as normal instead of strange. Dr. Foster approached Lisa with a smile. The latest reports are in. We've successfully evacuated 80% of the Zephyrian population to new worlds. The integration programs are working better than anyone expected.